the Browns and Bengals are coming up, but the talk of this week has been about Odell-Beckham-Jr., his connection with Baker-Mayfield. And, Mary Kay, this is just kind of life with Odell, right? This is life with a superstar. I mean, go ask anybody who's covered the Cavs or LeBron James about life with a bona fide superstar. There's always something happening. And here we are, week 1 with the Browns. Things are happening with Odell Beckham Jr. I guess get us up to speed. Let's start there.
Well, first of all, as we all know, there was a huge disconnect between Baker and Odell in the game. He only caught 3 of the 10 targets. That's not going to fly. 23 yards. I mean, it's Odell Beckham Jr. That never happened to him in New York with Eli Manning. It just never happened. It happened 2 times there in 59 games that he was in the 20s. Here, it's already happened, like 6 times or something like that. So these 2 guys just are not connecting. And after watching that first game and hearing them both talk after this, I started to think, you know what, I just don't even know if this is worth it anymore. I just don't see necessarily it getting a ton better. And maybe it's just time to move on and try to see if Odell can possibly explore a trade. There was also a report, Mike Francesa from The Fan in New York said that the Browns are trying to shop him. I haven't been able to confirm that. I can't tell. I'm checking. I'm working the phones. I'm trying to figure out if they are actually shopping him. But I kind of came to the conclusion today that, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for the 2 sides to just move on. Maybe Baker would be better off if he's not trying to force the ball to Odell, which I think he did. Maybe Odell would be better off somewhere else, like maybe with Bill Belichick and Cam Newton or something like that, where he could be happy. He doesn't seem happy to me here. I feel like they're both kind of, not blaming each other, but I think they both deep down inside think it's the other one. And yeah, those are just some of my initial thoughts on the whole thing.
Alice, I mean, what did you see from that game on Sunday between both of them? Because I know I went back and rewatched, and it's just clearly obvious. Like, they are not doing the same thing. When Odell is where he's supposed to be, the ball's not going where it's supposed to be. Or, he's open on 3rd and 2 and he drops the ball, right? That should have been a first down. It's just, that disconnect is just obvious right now for everyone to see.
I'm in agreement with Mary Kay and not surprised by this. I mentioned during training camp, I didn't see any resemblance of an intermediate or deep passing game from the Browns. I feel like that'll take time to build, and Odell's in a way kind of running out of time here. You can't just say last year was a wash because that's still 1 year in his career, so it counts. And if it doesn't get going this week against the Bengals, we can get into that a bit later. I think Mary Kay is really, really onto something here. It just might be a divorce where both sides would be better. As for the game Sunday, I'll say this. The disconnect was obvious. When Odell gets lackadaisical, which doesn't help his case at all, which we saw in the drop, which we saw when he doesn't keep his feet when he exits the field and then returns to the field to play, it's just lackadaisical. Can't have that. And I haven't watched the all 22 yet, but I do want to mention this. Drawing pass interference calls, defensive holdings, those are really important plays. Right. Whether it's an automatic first down or the yardage of the pass interference, I've always argued it maybe at least in fantasy football, they should count for a little something because those are huge plays. He kept drives going and he did register some first downs, even though he may not get credit for that in the stat sheet. So that's a long way of saying it's not all Odell's fault. It's not all this Browns offense fault. And it goes back to what Mary Kay said. They're probably both blaming each other, and the writing feels on the wall. But look, I'll end with this. Receivers need 2 of 3 things to be happy on a football team: yards, touchdowns, and wins. Odell's not doing all that good in any of those categories right now, but that can change Thursday.
This was supposed to be use play action, open things up for Odell, draw the defense in, leave him, not necessarily wide open, but get him open enough that you can get the ball to him. When Baker was in play action in this game, he fared well. Last year when he was in play action, he fared very well as well. I don't know why they didn't use it more. I'm sure they will use it more going forward. And when they do, maybe all of a sudden things will get better between the 2 of them as we move forward. And we might not get the answer against a little bit of a lesser defense, but like the Bengals, and Geno Atkins is ailing and hurting in this game. But it just does bear wondering if Baker is a larger part of the problem that needs to be addressed. It needs to be watched. This needs to be the focus. Again, I think as he moves forward and gets more comfortable in this offense and they incorporate more of the play action that we are expecting them to do, I think he's going to get better. But, the big elephant in the room here is Baker a large part of the problem?
Figure it out, right? Baker, Odell, sit down and figure it out.